Namaste. Namaste, my brothers and sisters, man. You get me? I'm gonna cover this at the top. Yeah, today's another one. Still, today's the 23rd, 11, 2020. You get me? And Earth times at this point, whatever. You don't know the MySpace. Yeah, man's at work. My job, my paid job right now. Nearly done actually. I kind of did the live when soon I actually have to go do my other thing, which is I'm doing this like sewing class. Done me doing everything. But yeah, I'm gonna make a hood. It's weird because I've always wanted to know how to make a hood, or since like 4 years ago when I saw this Japanese let's say Japanese brand from time, like vintage Japanese brand. I saw some hood with some greasy materials in it, so I thought, oh, I would really love to do that. And then now at the uni, that they're making hoods, so I'm getting taught. So big up that long time synchronicity happening. Today's been cool because for many reasons. Number one, I'm alive, so big up that. Uh, Number two, I had breakfast. You know what I mean? Slept nice, everything was late for work and it was calm. You know what I mean? Been very, very easy. And today I decided not to like rush things, but just to kind of like settle and be more present where I'm at. So I've been having a lot more conversations with like staff members and stuff, especially after lunch when I was a little bit more like full and happy and stuff. And just really insightful to see how like sometimes I like to put this whole like pandemic, COVID, Corona thing to one side and not really talk about it and just be like just treat it like Voldemort, you know, the one like that thing that should not be named or the current situation or whatever. But getting into more of it about like Christmas is coming up now, and you know, there's just interesting conversations about whether people are going to be able to see their families and stuff like that. How they're going to feel over this period. I think it's been interesting because I've been opening up more. Definitely, I really appreciate like my family. I definitely appreciate them regardless. Like I always love them coming over for Christmas and whenever. But even more now, so I just feel it more and hearing. I thought it's main like sometimes within experiences. Uh, for me personally, it takes me a hot sec before I'm like, oh, but I want like. Let me retract this. Sometimes it takes a certain thought process for me to understand that people are feeling the same way that I might be feeling or in the same kind of zone. So, you know, other people might be missing their families. Like one guy who works downstairs, like his family's from France, in it, but like all the costs have doubled and he has to like quarantine for 14 days once he gets here and they won't be able to do that with work and stuff. So therefore he's not going to see his family. And I was just like, I was a bit sad about that. Um, Obviously you have to do what you got to do, you know what I mean? That's the main thing in my eyes. You got to do what you got to do and take others into consideration as much as possible, you know what I mean? um was when I came back from um I'm not going to get into that. So what else? Yeah, another conversation is about how people have had time to stop and think. You know, especially as a Londoner or someone who's in a city where you're always rushing, or have a rushing mentality. So when someone's trying to speak to you, like there might be those charity people on the road, either shaking a bucket or you know what I mean with the uh, flipping nylon cheap jackets. You know what I mean, just make noise before you even see them. You know what I mean, with the clipboard, and you already have this kind of like anger towards them. Or sorry, let me talk from my perspective that I might already have this kind of like, oh, it's one of you guys again. Nah, fuck off. You know what I mean, or something like that. Excuse my English. But basically, now we have more time. Let's say I'm still not trying to give to charities that I don't really know about. If I'm really trying to give to a charity, I'll rather know its impact closer to home, innit? But basically, I have more time to understand all of those feelings about all of that, you know what I mean? And treat the person more as a human rather than just like this robot that works for this company who I don't mess with, basically. So the another member of staff was saying that yeah, they have more time before they like they even have more awareness about what they was doing and before, and they see that also like they're inspired by others because they see that others are giving people more time and stuff. Or more presence. Mm, yeah, interesting day. And also really recently, like obviously I talked about waking up. I had like this other experience yesterday, which I'm still processing, but it only was like 10, 20 seconds. But very, very deep, and I'm not even sure how to explain it. But basically, let's say my image of God came in front of me, and I felt the presence, but it's in a very weird way. So it's like because most of my life and when I was a kid, I had externalized God in it. So I thought, oh, God was this either this man up in the sky, you know, get me white guy, long beard, you know what I mean? Hopefully he likes me. But then also at the same time, um, I could have imagined God as just another external figure in my life. Um, so let's imagine, how could I say this? That I would think that, oh, God is something outside of me. And I definitely don't believe that anymore, especially after yes, like I already kind of felt like that, like God wasn't something external. Or even let me start before that, yeah. The main thing that happened actually is the fact that man said God. And then I've gone through certain thought processes before about whether I think God is called God, like you know what I mean, like ours, like and saying God's name in vain, all of that kind of stuff. But it just I first of all I kind of like laughed in my head. It's almost like God was saying, "Man's not called God, innit?" Like you know what I mean. So you know what I mean. And I just saw everyone talking about this thing called God. Like this was all within like 30 seconds in my head, like some kind of flash forward, flash backward, existential. Enlightenment experience. Like I get these little things sometimes. Where I'm like, oh, okay, wow, this is the way I was thinking about that. But basically, yeah. So the word God was just in front of me with all of my kind of thoughts and feelings about this God. You know what I mean? Like I saw the word, like some things are really challenging to feel like I'm conveying. But let's say like you know, there's this thing about the word cat, you know, and the words cat on its own without projecting your mind to anything else, it's the word, you know what I mean? But then obviously you have the letters and stuff behind it, but it's the word on its own. But then we put so many other ideals onto the word cat. So we would think of an amalgamation of all of the cats that we've seen in our life and the energy of cat and you know, the best thing a cat's done and the worst thing a cat's done and funny cat videos. And then so the same thing happened for me yesterday. I just came out of a meditation. Um, like unsolicited, you know what I mean? I didn't even know I'd stepped into the meditation, but I did. And then when I opened my eyes, I just saw, like, it wasn't in physicality. I saw the word God. Do you know why I went into a meditation? I was bouncing something out. I was bouncing out a tune and it was loading. And on Ableton, basically, the first thing that loads is a strip that asks you what kind of stuff um, what format you want it to be and all of the details. And then the the loading bar comes across that way, innit? So basically, I saw like a plus Christianity sign when I woke up when I came out of it, and it hadn't finished loading in it. So then there, the word God just came in the middle to my head because of that same connection. And when I come out of meditation, sometimes my brain really shows how it creates connections, and that time was a lot sharper. So after I saw that Christianity plus sign or whatever I thought looked like it, um, the word God came to mind, and I just imagined everything, all of my connections that I had to do with God. You know, it was almost like it was like a download or stream because sometimes I have thoughts in succession, but this time I had thoughts in in one. This reminds me of one time when I was in Netherlands, and like I'd taken some truffles in it, and I had almost like a million thoughts and visuals at once. So it was something like that. Like there's certain points, especially even when I wake up and I have no thoughts, then it's almost like all my thoughts come at once. It's like I load myself into the world. But anywho, I saw God as all of my ideas of God, and I kind of laughed. You know what I mean? Like the way we talk about God, our fear of God, what our yeah fear is in like I'm doing something within myself, or I'm doing something in a little corner, and I'm like, oh, I hope God doesn't see, or oh, I know God's watching right now, but I'm gonna try hide or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's really interesting, and I think that experience allowed me to laugh at that and just see it in a new light. It's not saying I'm laughing at the creator, definitely not, or I can be laughing with the creator, cool. Uh, but main thing is that I have a new perspective on what a God being is, or what God might be, and obviously, I'm even laughing now because obviously, well, like I, I, I don't not sure if you can even catch the joke, but we're saying that this God thing is like, you know what I mean? They're saying like, I human, your name is human, and I'm gonna make up loads of stuff about you that I don't know. You know what I mean? So now more and more, what I'm thinking of is just basically living my life and experimenting and seeing the truths that come about, you know what I mean? And obviously, I'm still listening to certain people, big up the Donny, big Donny, Neville Goddard, and those who preceded him or came before him, because a lot of the stories that I'm hearing from him, I'm resonating with in my life. So I think he has a book called Your Faith is Your Fortune. And in this book, it says something along the lines of your your richness or your confidence is determined by the amount of faith that you have in God, basically. So your riches is determined by the amount of faith you have in God. And I'm not just talking about monetary riches, I'm talking about your richness in life, um, able to see opportunities and have the heart to take those chances, or to believe in something and to make it come to pass because of the amount of faith that I have in myself, which is the amount of faith I have in God. And obviously, again, I'm using the same word, God, but really and truly, it's if we are made in the Creator's image or imagination, like just how say like someone's written a book, J.K. Rowling's written Harry Potter or something, you know what I mean? um there is a lineage in between her imagination and that character, you know what I mean? So there's a lineage between Big Goddy creator and myself as well. And I love talking about, everything's probably just going to be about God every single day, yeah, but I love talking about God because our whole life is based, a lot of people's lives are based on this. I'm doing this thing at the bottom of the table as well, like a fiddly thing with wire, just like joining it all together and stuff. I'm gonna let it go, um, so I can concentrate more on what I'm trying to say. Um, so I'm probably gonna pause as well, so I can just channel everything, bring everything into one spot for a second, innit? So Currently, my mind is playing the intro of 7 Days by Craig David, which is like, I got something to say, because my mind's trying to think of something to say, but I don't want to think of something to say. I just want it to form more in my head, really. And it's funny how the brain works like that. My brain has many jokes like that. Oh no, it's Fill Me In. It's not even 7 days. It's Can You Feel Me In? But yeah, I'm meant to be concentrating on something else. Anywho, all right. As you can see, I'm just talking, but I love the fact that I I feel things, and then they form into um more than what I just feel. So say like, as I was saying at the beginning, I was telling someone downstairs. I'm not even sure if this is actually in straight lineage of what I was saying before, but it's cool. That's fine. So I was saying to a lady downstairs that I'm going to test out how I can change my emotions and how I feel, and see how that works out in my day. Um, and every day, the image of me or who I think that I am sometimes can be based off of who I was yesterday, or who I believe myself to be yesterday. But if each day I can recreate myself and record myself each day, and then I might be able to find another pattern. I feel that the way I've been taught to think about life, or to think about myself, or to build my image is can be bettered, you know what I mean? So also, whilst I'm doing this, so say like I have I'm Harry Potter, let's say, and my creator is here, and you're while someone is reading, the reader, let me just do, I don't even know if this is gonna make sense. J.K. Rowling is here, Harry Potter is here, and reader is here, yeah, Holy Trinity, boom. So basically, if J.K. Rowling might have an idea of who Harry Potter is, but uh, but they have a whole bigger idea of who Harry Potter is. But in this moment, they might only say, "Oh, Harry Potter is this kind of person at this moment in time," or "This is all he sees themselves to be." And the reader, the external person, is like, "Oh, boom, yeah, this is who Harry Potter looks like, and he's only going to be like this." But really, J.K. Rowling knows the whole schema, and is influenced by a whole bigger load of things than the Harry Potter world. Obviously, J.K. Rowling's created the Harry Potter world, innit? And Harry Potter. And then there's the reader reading it. But let's say Harry Potter decides to hack himself, you know what I mean? It's like, whoa, hold on 1 second. If I'm here, I must be made by some creator or something, you know what I mean? And my creator's probably given me a seed of my environment, sorry, my environment, and a seed of who I'm meant to be. But I want to be something a little bit more than that. What happens then? What happens when Harry Potter, or the character in the story, or myself on Earth, decide that, okay, I want to recreate myself as a new person? Um, what just happens then? From and now at this present moment in time, I'm having so many other thoughts, because if I'm choosing to be a different person, I must have even then I must have there must be another higher idea of like what I would want to achieve. It's not like it's almost like I could choose to be any I can now choose to be anything. It's like being in an empty thing and be like, okay, the other day I was a person who was jealous of others, and comparing myself to others, or only did these kind of things. And then obviously so much more to that. Let's just keep it like, a little thing. And then, I liked eggs. Let's put that in there as well. Yeah. But basically now I can be a person who's like, okay, I can, let's say I don't want to choose to like eggs right now. And I'm no longer jealous or comparing myself to others. You know what I mean? That idea is also in J.K. Rowling's mind. And then they're able to be like, okay, because they're choosing, how can I say this best? The old concept and the new concept are still part of the overall concept, basically. This is what it seems like. I don't think I can do anything outside of the concept, the overall concept of myself. And I think more as the closer I understand the overall concept of myself, the more I can choose to make different decisions at different times and be who I want to be at different times. Okay. And this is why this live stream is so lovely, because I'm able to like externalize some ideas that I've had in my head and make them a little bit more tangible with what I'm saying. So yeah, big up. I've just realized now that I really appreciate doing this for that reason. And I'm kind of meant to do this daily, and I have missed out a few days, but I'm becoming more consistent. I just want everything to come from a place of more ease. But I remember having a conversation with someone, I think it was Ibrahim from Guap, and he was like, and maybe even some others, and even my boy Merks, he was just like, everything to the effect of sometimes you have to use force till things are easy and flow easier. And I feel like that's also been said in some kind of Chinese Taoism book, in terms of like doing the thing till you're no longer doing it, but you are, you know what I mean? So it's not like, so it's like every day building a routine, saying I'm doing a routine till the routine is no longer like actually happening, because it's not like a thing that I think of. It's like, I don't think it's a routine for me to wake up in the morning, a routine for, I don't think it's like, that might not be the best way to say it, but I don't, once a thing is being happening and I'm not having to think about it as in like, I have to do this, therefore I'm probably no longer doing it, I'm being it. And I feel like that leads me on to back again to Neville Goddard, because in Your Faith is Your Fortune, it says that you should assume the feeling of the thing, of the wish fulfilled. And therefore, if you have to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, it's almost like I feel within myself that whenever I am the best me, I'm just being me, and I'm feeling things and doing them. There's a very nice coherence there. So for me to no longer feel like I'm forcing anything, it's like another thing. People say fake it till you make it. And I never used to agree with that. And then I agreed with it. And then I stopped agreeing with it. And now I just feel as in whatever concept you, I'm trying to disconnect this with some other books, so give me a second. So let's talk about patterns, yeah? So Neville Goddard, Outwitting the Devil, talks about hypnotic, let's talk about patterns, yeah? So sometimes you don't realize what patterns you are living out or expressing until you really deep the pattern. And sometimes certain patterns are there and you have to analyze them, or certain patterns have to be built. So certain patterns have to be analyzed and looked at and, you know, rejigged, be like, oh, this, and think about the source of where the patterns really coming from. So say like within myself, like I have so many patterns that come from my childhood. Like I was on the phone to my friend the other day, yeah. Let me take off my jacket. And this story hit home so much, yeah, because like we what's the word? We have to water ourselves down a lot of the time. And it's really, really sad to say, my friend had this friend of theirs who was, so say my friend is here, they have their friend, and they have their sibling. So my friend and their sibling, and had their friend and their friend's sibling, yeah. And there was an interconnectivity of the relationship, because everything was good at first, kids doing their thing, playing, but then my friend's friend became a bully, and you know, obviously for them it's not fun to have a bully anyway, but it's also an added pressure to have to know that I'm gonna have to tell my parent that this person's bullying me, and they're probably going to remove myself and my sibling from the situation now, and all of that guilt can turn into a hyper awareness of doing stuff, and a hyper awareness of what you're doing, and also certain other patterns as guarding. So now my friend had to tell their parent at a certain time because it got too much that um, this person is still creating problems, and therefore that ruined that whole relationship, and they took that guilt upon themselves. And I can really, so, and then now on they live with that within themselves, you know what I mean? So before they make any certain moves, um or get into friendships that determine other people inside as well, they have to be very hyper aware and might question whether they should jump into it because of that past experience. And so they're still living out that pattern, and they're held within that pattern. um and they might not know now that they are being that person from that time where they were scared to tell their parent about being bullied by someone else because of compromising the relationship. And I was saying that I can resonate on a deeper level, not with that exact situation per se, but they're definitely very close, but also things to do with like family. So say like my parents split up or something, or even before my parents split up, and you kind of having this kind of like sixth sense. Like obviously I was like quite a young kid, I didn't really know life in general that much, but you kind of got this feeling as then like you kind of knew while gone, like, boom, that this isn't going well, and then this might ruin everything that I know right now, my concept of heaven, or how things should be. So therefore, what can I do to keep this as sweet as possible? You know what I mean? So it's like I developed this kind of sense, or hyper aware social sense of like, when I could tell that even before people get into conflict, like it's almost like I could sniff it in the air. You know what I mean? It's like even before anyone else can tell, a lot of the time it's like I can tell, and it's like I kind of try to basically try and clock things before they happen and sort it out. So I have some kind of like um sense and patterns within myself now, that within any social situation I may put myself in the middle of everything to try and make sure everything's cushy, and without even knowing. Like I remember one time one of my boys was just um like we still never even completely got all the way down to it because it's like it was still quite sub, but my friend said something about how he noticed that I do that and doesn't know how I do it. You know what I mean? And from that moment, I actually had to think about, how do I even do this? Because a lot of the times in my life, I am the person in the middle because of me wanting to create good situations, and like me wanting to not ruin what is there already. You know what I mean? Or I feel like I'm being less clear now, but maybe I'll get to another clear point later. But where's my pen? Oh, man. But yeah, basically, I got into patterns, so I still live out those patterns till today. And not to say like everything to do with that pattern is a bad thing, but yeah, it's more like I would like to have an awareness of. I like to have an awareness of who I believe that I am deep down, and who I am, who I've made myself deep down, or what I blamed on myself deep down. I think a lot of different emotions hold a lot of different patterns, So the blame one, there's so much there. And sometimes because of blame, you might want to preempt the blame somehow, very subconsciously. Like also coming out of when I come out of like meditation or whatever. Meditation is everything in life, isn't it? But basically the one where I sit down, let's call it a sitting meditation. When I come out of that, it's like I really watch my brain load back again, and the idea of who I am and how I transmit and receive um, this world that we're living in. You know what I mean? So it's like I start to realize like how I make sense of it all, and how I treat things based on who I think I am. But anyway, going back to your faith is your fortune. What the main thing that being your faith is your fortune is saying is that living in the end and living knowing the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So what will I feel like? What will I feel like when my wish is fulfilled? Yeah. So say like I want to go to Japan. And let's do this now. Actually, let's just add like bring more vibes there, like to the thing. So my what would the feeling of going to the airport to go to Osaka in Japan and Tokyo, and having that feeling within myself and hearing the airport chatter and all that kind of stuff? What would that feel like? So what would being that feel like? Because in each moment, it's not like I am I am this I was about to say absolute because of coding, but more in terms of like what's that thing? This relative not relative, objective. It's not like I'm just this objective thing where it's just me, I'm this thing forever, and I'm just doing things. Really and truly, it's more like I when I go into uni, I am, or when I go into work, I am my work experience. When I'm talking to my friend, I am that experience. I'm being the experience. So more and more, I want to see myself not as an actual person, but as the being of an experience. Even now, even now, I can feel what I'm being as an experience, and when I feel that, I need to raise that. But let's say everything I've been through in my life is an experience, and I was that experience. Not I can't separate myself from it. I was that experience at that time. So all the ways I thought and felt about it created that experience and my part in that experience. So how now can I feel different things and think different things in different situations for me to renew that experience? So I can come into work and think, oh, I hate this place and this is where I'm meant to be, and feel sad. So I can feel sad about it. I can think negative thoughts as in, oh, I'm going to be trapped here forever and this is all I'm ever going to be. And I'm lying to myself about all my dreams. Or I can come into work and choose to feel privileged to have a space, not just to earn money, but to learn different things and communicate with different kinds of people. I can think good thoughts in terms of this is a foundation for me to pick up these skills for my other things. So now, right now, I'm learning certain things which I know I'm going to take into the future. So in my future hindsight, in my mind, I know that I'm going to look back on this job and be like, thank God for this job because I learned this here. I met this person here. I had time to do this here. All of that kind of stuff. So that's something that I learned from a video yesterday. I can't remember. Some guy was interviewing Robert Greene, and he was talking about future hindsight, and I was like, I fucks with that. So this is a vocabulary I'm going to use now, as in my future hindsight. I'm going to have very high appreciation of all my surroundings right now. Even now, I can link my mind to the future, and I can look at this room and be like, I'm looking at it now, but I can remember this in the future, and in the future, I will be in this position remembering that I sat here doing this. You know what I mean? So I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, boom. It seems like I got my class very, very soon. It's 5:25. You don't know my favorite numbers and that. Some of my favorite numbers. But yes. So one thing I want to say even before I leave is just that again, I'm sometimes this kind of person who knows a lot of, has a lot of information or knowledge and doesn't always convert it to the highest yield of wisdom. This is changing. I see that this is the best way. Application is the best way. How can I apply? How can I record my applications and see what it's done? Because I really feel that this life is a test, not as in like there's an exam paper, but it's more about testing out what life is and what one can do in life. So Yeah. With that being said, let me just get me blessed up as I like to do. Appreciate because these hands coming together. Done no prayer, but appreciate this life experience and my reflections within it. I appreciate coming closer to my internal experience and understanding that the clearer and more coherent and more focused I am towards my truest desire or truest goal, the more I will see the outlets of how it will be created. And the more I step in faith, not determined on what I can currently see, the more I will be able to create what I cannot see currently now in the future. So walking in my faith is the biggest power I can have, not determining it on others' information that's given to me, but more in terms of the feeling that I have. I'm still here up to this point, even though certain things look like it wouldn't be like that. And yeah, I'm still here. I now know that it's not how things look or feel like at that present moment in time. It's the overall faith that I have. Big up everyone on earth, big up all my friends, big up all my family. Please, please, I pray for my friends who have had some passings in the last few weeks. I hope that they are able to find peace and appreciate the experience that they had with their loved ones at a time, and also have more great experience with their other loved ones that are still present on the plane today. I hope everyone is able to be themselves just a little bit more today and see some new things in life, let life expand and evolve in their eyes, so then they can see there's more potential and feel more awe of life. Sometimes I feel that we may stagnate as we get older, and I hope for more flow, pray for more flow. I will be applying more flow and creating a space of more flow for myself. Hopefully, that creates a space of flow for others. I hope that my session today is good, making what I'm making. Yeah, big up. Love.